Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Aitareya classes, where I, Manvi Srivastava, will be covering today's current affairs with you. The first current affairs we're going to be looking at is about building water security in a rapidly drying India. That is, India is rapidly drying, and we have to build some water security around it. How are we going to go about it? What is the context? That the water resource experts have highlighted India's worsening water crisis. The water crisis is becoming worse because early season monsoon rainfall has seen a deficit of over 40%. There has been a 40% decline in the early season monsoon rainfall, and this stresses the need for a long term structural reform. This reform is needed for a long term, but it is not in place right now. We need reforms that are long lasting instead of relying on the seasonal rainfalls because the rainfall is already in a deficit of 40%. Let us take a good look at these details. About building water security in a rapidly drying India. How are we going to build this? We are going to build long term methods. We are going to expand water supply to efficient, circular, and data driven management. How is the water management going to happening? It is going to be efficient, it is going to be circular and data driven. And how are we going to do it? Through conservation, through reuse, and through sustainable allocation. Next, let us talk about the key data and statistics on India's water crisis. Now, these data points and these stats become very important for you because you can quote them in your mains examination. Let us take a good look at it. Limited water resources. India has 4% of global fresh water. That is a large amount actually as compared to the world, and it supports 18% of world's population. This is now scary because 18% of world population is in India and only 4% of global freshwater, which is actually enough water but not enough for these many people. When we talk about river basin stress, India has 15 major river basins, out of which 11 are facing high and long-term water stress. Let's talk about water scarcity. Per capita water availability has fallen below 1000 meter cube. 1000 meter cube से भी less per capita water availability in what? In Krishna and Kaveri basins. These two basins have less than 1000 meter cube per capita water availability, which is again a scary fact. Let's talk about the urban water deficit. Now, Delhi currently receives about 70% of its daily water demand. Delhi does not even receive 100% of the water that it needs. That is, it only receives 70% of its demand, which is 1250 mgd. Let us talk about global water insecurity. We have talked about urban, we've talked about the river basins, we've talked about limited water resources in India and the water scarcity in India. Now let's talk about global level water scarcity. According to the United Nations University, which organization? United Nations University. Nearly 75% of the world's population lives in water insecure countries. Three-fourths of the global population is in water insecure countries. Low micro irrigation coverage. Only 20% of India's 72 million hectare of irrigated farmland is covered under micro irrigation. Only 20% of the irrigated farmland is covered under micro irrigation. Now these data point becomes very important. If you remember them, your answer will be enriched. Circular water economy potentials. Council of Energy and I think Energy and Water, Energy Efficiency and Water estimates wastewater recycling. This council estimates wastewater recycling can take 3 lakh crore market. When we talk about capitalism, this can be capitalized, and 1 lakh green jobs by 2047. This can be commercialized. This market has a huge scope, and this can also create jobs, that is employment. By 2047, it will create 1 lakh green jobs. These were the key data and statistic points. Let us take a good look at the imperative need for the strong water security. Insulating cities from drastic shortfalls. If we are able to have water security, it will save our cities from being exposed to drastic shortfalls. Rapidly growing urban centers like Bangalore, we have all heard of the water crisis in Bangalore, and Mussoorie, we've heard about Chennai as well. Now these face seasonal dry spells and highlights the critical need to preserve urban water reserves. If we can preserve these urban water reserves, this seasonal dry spell can be combated. Mitigating severe agricultural wastage. Conventional flood irrigation technique. What is the conventional technique of irrigation? Flood irrigation. Flood irrigation. Now, this causes high wastage of water, also causes high evaporation. This is a very important question. Why is flood irrigation dangerous? Because it causes high evaporation and conveyance losses, making the agricultural sector the largest consumer of freshwater resources. It's not you or I, it's the agricultural sector and flood water irrigation, and most of this water is going to be evaporated. And this is also going to be lost in conveyance during transportation of the water. Halting rapid aquifer depletion. Aquifer are underground water resources. Build blind underground pumping for farming can lower the water tables. That is also something we all know of, but we never think of while pumping out water from the ground. Eliminating the free rider problem. What is the free rider problem? The lack of the exact basin level water metrics encourages users to extract unlimited groundwater volumes until a source dries up. What does this mean? That not entire water basin has been mapped up. Nobody knows in which city what should be the water line, what should be the basin level water metric. And hence, when people are extracting underground water, they are not going up to a certain limit. They're going beyond the limits because the limits are not clear. Okay, thus they extract unlimited groundwater volumes until the source is actually dried up because there's no demarcation. Providing financial stability to local bodies. The cash-strapped urban municipalities require structure, performance-based models to recover utility cost and minimize physical distribution losses. Very easy to understand. Next, key initiatives that have been taken so far. The Jal Jeevan Mission. It is a centrally sponsored program. Please note this down. It is a centrally sponsored program. The aim is to expand rural tap infrastructure to deliver safely managed drinking water directly to household premises. Drinking water. It is not based on agricultural water. It is for drinking water supply through rural tap infrastructure, and it is a centrally sponsored program. This is the Jal Jeevan Mission number 1. Number 2, Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana or PMKSY. It is a multi-tiered agricultural scheme. Now this is an agricultural scheme. Jal Jeevan Mission was about potable drinking tap water. It is focused on expanding national physical access to water. Physical access to water. Why? To promote the on-farm micro irrigation system. Since only 20% of the fields have it, this is to promote micro irrigation in more fields. Next, the Urban Challenge Fund. Now this becomes very, very, very important. I'm going to mark it with red. The Urban Challenge Fund. Okay, a specialized financial tool. It is a financial tool utilized by cities like Vishakhapatnam to secure targeted funding for water supply grids and storm drainage infrastructure. Okay, it is by cities like Vishakhapatnam and they have targeted funding for cities and for their water supply from grids and the storm drainage infrastructure, the water that comes through storm and its drainage. Okay, next is the National Smart Metering Drive, the successful countrywide rollout of over 4.93 crores of smart electric meters. The smart electric meters, how many smart electric meters? Nearly 5 crore smart electric meters. They will establish the operational model to guide smart digital metering across the water sectors. The National Smart Metering Drive. Next we talk about the key structural challenges that are associated with water assets. What are the structural challenges that we are facing? Let me change the highlighter. High infrastructure depreciation and upkeep failures. The infrastructure related to water conservation and water transportation. The pipelines, they suffer from conveyance losses. There are broken walls, there's poor and irregular maintenance. That is why they get rusted very easily, they break very easily, and there is water loss in the transportation, and the water quality also degrades because of the high infrastructure depreciation and upkeep failures. Next is inadequate wastewater treatment infrastructure. The majority of the urban municipal wastewater is discharged without any treatment, and that contaminates the streams, lakes, and rivers. Then there is significant shortage of localized risk data. Nobody knows what area has water table. Nobody knows how the climate is going to impact a small local area. The cities lack their granular and spatial climate risk data, and hence it is difficult to identify the high risk coastal zones or which critical public hospital requires urgent flood protection. This data should be there in place and should be regularly upkept. Another thing is shortage of subsidies for marginal smallholders. Now the standard micro irrigation subsidies use 1 hectare as the base unit, making drip system economically inaccessible for farmers that have plots below 0.4 hectares. They also need micro irrigation, but there is no such rule in place. A shortage of subsidies causes micro irrigation to be less common. The crop price and selection distortions. Now, fixed procurement systems can change the data of the production of a crop. And thus, because of the procurement system, water-heavy crops are grown like sugarcane, paddy, and hence farmers are discouraged to grow low water low water requiring crops like millets. Okay, these are a few problems or challenges associated with water assets. Let us see the way forward. What can be done to change this? AI-based leakage monitoring and meters. Wherever there is infrastructure problem, AI-based leakage can be monitored. Next is transitioning to circular economy, water reuse goods. The water can be reused and circular economy of water can be established. Mandate the use of treated municipal wastewater for non-potable. Of course, people have their inhibitions for potable water. We cannot have treated potable water for everyone, but at least for the non-potable and commercial or industrial applications, such as cooling high density AI data centers, in thermal power plants, and in things like landscaping and building material, these uh, rules can be in place so that treated non-potable water can be used. Again, redesigning micro irrigation units for marginal farmers. We saw that the baseline for micro irrigation systems is 1 hectare, and farmers who have fields below that 1 hectare have a tough time installing micro irrigation systems. So this should be redesigned, and 0.4 hectares should be used as the base of the calculation. This will allow the small landholders to buy sprinkler and micro irrigation systems, and which can be affordable for them also. In the long run, it can be sustainable also for water conservation. Expanding localized multi-sector climate risk mapping. So the direct urban bodies can utilize the Urban Challenge Fund that we talked about, and these grants can be used to map the low-lying areas and protect the critical infrastructures like schools and electric grids. Next is coupling crop diversification with low-cost insurance. Crop diversification preserves the quality of land, preserves the water, less evaporation, less intensive water use, and low cost insurance can be used. Faster insurance claims can be in place. Because of procurement, people are growing high intensity crops so that they can be assured that okay, these crops will be bought by the government, these will not go to waste. How about there are insurances in place, but no matter what kind of crop you sow, even if it takes low water, even if it sells less, there should be an insurance in place if you do not sell your crop. Like Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana can be strengthened by using these steps also, and these directions of thought can be actually led to achieve a probable solution. Next, we're talking about the conclusion of this. While massive distribution networks like Jal Jeevan Mission have improved access, there's no doubt about this. The Jal Jeevan Mission has done changes. It has improved access. Structural weaknesses like untreated wastewater and high distribution loss are still present. There are weaknesses like wastewater being dumped into rivers. It is untreated. It does not even go through sedimentation process. Then there is high distribution loss because of the pipelines. These are also a reality. So two realities exist side by side. So creating infrastructure is only half the battle. Maintaining it is another. Treating wastewater is another. So ultimately, by implementing smart digital meters, treating water reuse as a multi-core circular business opportunity, and shifting agriculture towards micro irrigation, India can build a water scarce future. What are the three different things that we heard of? Shifting agriculture towards micro irrigation. Okay, number one, I'm going to underline this, micro irrigation. Number two, treating wastewater reuse, using it as a core business opportunity, and implementing smart digital meters. Three things that we can think of right now to combat the water scarcity in India because of the decline in monsoons by 40%. Next. The next thing we talk about is the Delhi Electric Vehicle Policy 2026. A new electric vehicle policy has been put in place in Delhi. Context is that the Delhi government officially notified its landmark Delhi Electric Vehicle Policy 2026, and this introduces aggressive regulatory mandates to eliminate the vehicular pollution in the national capital. What is the purpose of this? To eliminate vehicular pollution in the national capital of Delhi. What is this policy? This is a sweeping zero emission transportation roadmap. Zero emission transport roadmap that will be operational from 1st of July 2026 until 31st of March 2030. So instead of dividing resources, this policy focuses on promoting pure battery electric vehicles and completely excludes strong hybrids from receiving tax reliefs or cash incentives. Earlier, there were cash incentives and tax reliefs in place even for the hybrid vehicles. Now, they are only in place for pure battery electric vehicles. Let us talk about the key data and statistics on Delhi's electric vehicle mandate. The phased purchase initiative. So commuters who are buying electric two-wheelers will get direct subsidies of 30,000 in the first year, 30,000 subsidy in the first year, and that will scale down to 20,000 in the second year and 10,000 in the third year. How much? 10,000 in the third year. Who are buying for two-wheelers? This will be the subsidy. Phased purchase incentive it is called. Next is three-wheeler support. Electric auto rickshaws are eligible for direct subsidies of 50,000 in year 1, 40,000 in year 2 and 30,000 in year 3. I recommend that you make a table. First column for the two-wheelers. For first year it is 30,000, second year 20,000, third year 10,000. Second column for the three-wheelers. For first year it is 50,000, second year 40,000 and third year it is 30,000. Then there are tax and registration exemption caps. So all the eligible pure EVs are granted 100% lifetime waiver on road tax and registration fees. Two different taxes on which they have lifetime waiver only if they are pure EVs. Okay, let me highlight these two taxes. First is road tax. What is it? Road tax. And the second one is registration fees. These do not have to be paid at all because 100% lifetime waiver is there. However, for passenger cars, this exemption is capped strictly at vehicles costing up to 30 lakhs in ex-showroom. Maximum 30 lakhs price. Okay. The urban pollution footprint. So the Delhi Transport Department data indicates that the commercial good carriers drive 33% of vehicular pollution. 33% of pollution is not caused by our vehicles that we take to offices and to schools and all these two-wheelers that we take to our friends' houses and all the vehicles that we use on a day-to-day basis. What is this 1/3 of pollution caused by? It is caused by good carriers, commercial goods carriers. While two-wheelers and three-wheelers, they do not generate one third. They generate 46%. How much do they generate? 46% by two-wheelers and three-wheelers and 33% by commercial good carriers. Okay, the imperative need of the EV roadmap. Why is this roadmap needed actually now? Why these sudden changes? Number one is combating the chronic air pollution. There's chronic air pollution. It is not even going away. Delhi frequently suffers from severe air quality crisis during winter season. We have all seen when the parali is being burnt, when there's stubble burning, we see what the air quality is like in Delhi. It's like smoking 15 cigarettes a day. I've heard some data like that. You can correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. So the air quality crisis is severe during the winter season and it requires a rapid structural transition towards zero emission vehicle fleet. So we are starting now. We're not waiting for the winters. This is a good step actually. Targeting high volume commuter segment. So the two-wheelers constitute nearly 2/3 of the capital's active vehicle population, but it represents less than 8% of electric registration. Imagine 2/3 of the capital's vehicle are actually two-wheelers. But out of these, the electric registrations are only 8%. So there is a massive gap. It leaves a massive polluting footprint. This gap can be tackled by these incentives. Cleaning up last mile commercial logistics. So the light goods carriers and the delivery vehicles that run round the clock inside the city center, they heavily compound urban particulate matter output. Like people bringing your goods on Zepto, like Amazon carts, and all of these trucks and lorries that bring up your goods from the facilities. Enforcing corporate and institutional accountability. There should be accountability. This is where India is always lacking, accountability. There should be mandatory electric quotas to ensure that private schools, logistic aggregators, and public transport operators actively share the financial burden of the city-wide clean transitions. They should share the burden of it. Next, when we talk about is key transition timelines and initiatives. The near-term commercial deadline. What is the near-term commercial deadline? From January 1, 2027, only pure electric three-wheelers, like this L5 passenger autos, only pure electric three-wheelers and N1 category light goods carriers will be permitted fresh registration in Delhi. Okay, three-wheelers which are pure electric and N1 category light goods carriers. इनको ही fresh registrations they'll get from 1st January 2027. About two-wheelers, when we talk about the two-wheeler transition milestone, from 1st April, the registration of new petrol or CNG powered scooters and motorcycles will be completely discontinued. There won't be new registrations for petrol or CNG powered scooters and motorcycles or two-wheelers. Only pure electric models will be registered from 1st April 2028. The school bus electrification mandate. Now, this is very important. The institutional schools must systematically transition their transport fleet to pure EVs. They should be pure EVs, and it should convert at least 10% within 2 years, 20% within 3 years, and 30% by March 31, 2030. This is a cascade effect, and this is a step-by-step process of changing the entire vehicle economy to EV in Delhi especially. The launch of the subsidy portal. CM Rekha Gupta launched a paperless digital portal at evsubsidy.delhi.government.in. There's a subsidy portal so that subsidies can be accessed easily. What is the notion around subsidies? Why would I do this for subsidies? Subsidy access is so difficult. But now there is a digital paperless portal for subsidies. This will allow the buyers to apply online within 30 days of purchase to receive the direct benefit transfer within 60 days. These are the steps that have been taken. What are the challenges that are still in place? First challenge is overcoming the hybrid technology friction. Hybrid technology over the last few years were highly encouraged, and now we have to overcome that and switch to pure EV. So dropping tax concessions for the strong hybrid vehicles has drawn pushback from the manufacturers of these vehicles. They argued that the hybrids attacked a necessary transitional tool before full electrification. The high financial impact on lower income drivers. The auto rickshaw drivers, the delivery operators who buy pricier electronic options can be very difficult and financially stressful for them. Mitigating mass grid demands. Now, when we have so many EVs in place, there is a demand of a mass grid also. Power utilities must coordinate with Delhi Transco Limited or DTL to scale up localized substations, avoiding local blackouts, and thousands of high capacity fast chargers should come online. Mitigating commercial fleets moving out of the state. How do we talk about the fleets that are moving out of the state? To prevent the users from exploiting exemptions and instantly reselling their vehicles elsewhere, the policy restricts buyers from selling or registering their subsidized EVs outside Delhi for 3 years. For 3 years, you cannot sell your subsidized EV outside Delhi. Imagine a person getting exemption, buying an EV here and selling it in another state without exemption or without subsidy and at a higher rate. This will be them exploiting the loophole. Let us talk about the way forward that can be taken. First is expanding the 32,000 charging point network, which is to be done necessarily so that we can actually charge the EVs that the government is insisting on us to buy. Accelerating the rollout of public charging hubs across high footfall market, metro stations, and workspaces using PM e-drive allocations. Streamlining the paperless subsidy workflow, which we've already talked about. Providing dedicated home charging tariff lines. Now, this is something very innovative and important. Next is deploying end-to-truck regulatory perks, that is enforcing the promised 10-year exemptions from no entry traffic hours for the first 1,000 electric medium trucks to catalyze commercial green convergence. This is not that important, you can skip this. Protecting existing asset life cycles, the existing assets, so that fossil fuel vehicles that are registered prior to this cutoff date, they can continue operating without disruption until their validity expires. This is also very important because this can save the public from sudden financial stress. Next is conclusion. By setting these hard registration cutoffs for petrol two-wheelers and commercial autos, the state has provided a clear and predictable direction for manufacturers and fleet operations alike. Ultimately, the success of this transition will depend on the rapid deployment. Yani ki, by setting these hard registration rules, now the rules are becoming stricter. What has the government done? By these hard rules, they have given a clear direction to the manufacturers and to the operators that now they have to follow these, and now Delhi is serious about combating the air pollution. Let us take a look at the next news. Pashujanya Yudh Abhyas, PYA. Now, the Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairying is related to this, so it becomes important. So this Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairying conducted this Pashujan Yudh Abhyas. It was a 5-day national mock drill in Vidisha. Where was it? In Vidisha. This happened in MP, in Vidisha. Okay, this was conducted by Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairying. Let's learn about this. What is this? It is a national level mock drill. It was conducted under National One Health Mission. One Health Mission. Why was it conducted? In case we have a disease outbreak in animals, that is zoonotic disease outbreak or an animal health emergency, how prepared is India to combat that? This was done to evaluate India's preparedness, coordination and emergency response. India's what? Let us look at these terms. Your answers could be very strong if you look at these terms and use these terms actually. Preparedness, coordination, and emergency response for animal health emergencies and zoonotic disease outbreaks. What is the aim? The aim strengthens national preparedness for early detection. For what? Early detection, contaminant, containment, and respond to zoonotic disease outbreaks. What does it enhance? It enhances intersectoral coordination among veterinary, public health, wildlife, laboratory, and administrative agencies under the One Health framework. What are the key features of this? One Health-based simulation. It simulated what? It simulated influenza A, that is H1N1 outbreak. Which outbreak? H1N1 outbreak. Potential spillover to humans and wildlife. This can spread to humans and wildlife later. It tested the complete outbreak response chain. How the entire chain responds to this outbreak. Multiple agencies participated in it. Like, please write the full form of these in the comment. This is a task for you today. DHD, we just studied about this. ICAR, we know about this. ICMR, we also know about this. NCDC, NIHSAD, AIMS Bhopal, I will not tell you the full form, I was about to tell you this. MOEFCC, state departments and district administration under what? National Joint Outbreak Response Team. This term is very important and all these names you have to remember under this term. All of these agencies or all of these departments fall under this team, National Joint Outbreak Response Team. Now talk about the end-to-end emergency response. It covers surveillance. Let us also look at that because this is again very important. What does it look at? It looks at surveillance, early warning, laboratory diagnosis, epidemiological investigation, biosecurity, containment, movement control, and public communication. These are the things that it can look at as a response. These are the agencies that participated in it under the National Joint Outbreak Response Team, and this was the simulation, that is the influenza A H1N1 outbreak. Gap assessment and capacity building. It concluded with a structural debrief. After this exercise was completed, there was a debrief, and then they identified the operational gaps. They improve emergency protocols, and this can strengthen future outbreak preparedness. Let us look at the significance of it. This strengthens India's One Health preparedness by improving coordination among animal, human, and environment health sectors. If all these sectors coordinate, India will be better prepared for the India's One Health aim. Again, this is against the zoonotic diseases that spread to animals and can secondarily spread to humans and humans as well. It enhances the veterinary and public health resilience through regular mock drills, faster outbreak detection, and evidence-based emergency response mechanisms. What is the relevance to UPSC exam? I will not be looking into this. You can actually find out. Next, the polygraph test. So the context is that the Pune police has sought court permission to conduct a polygraph test on the accused in the Ketan Agarwal murder case. The Sia controversy, you are already very much aware of the Ketan Agarwal and the Sia murder case. Such tests require the accused's voluntary consent. This is very important. Accused's voluntary consent is required under the Indian law, and hence the Pune police have sought court's permission. After the court's permission, the accused's voluntary consent is required. Next, what is the polygraph test? It is called the lie detector test. It is you must have seen in CID also, there's a lie detector happening. There's an investigative diagnostic procedure, and it measures and records the psychological indicators like heartbeat, like brain waves and these things during the questioning. And then on the psychological premises and based on these things, these data and these metrics, it actually analyzes whether this conscious deception can trigger a distinct and involuntary response that can actually deviate from the other data baselines. So the aim of the test is to generate investigative leads, verify, dispute a suspect's alibi, and narrow down the lines of inquiry. Okay, how does it work? There's a pre-test interview. The examiner explains the procedure of the test. It reviews the entire case. It builds a rapport with the subject, and this can reduce the general anxiety before the test actually begins, so that the subject is not anxious even before the test has started. Now, once the subject is less anxious, the baseline is recorded. So the subject answers simple questions to establish the normal breathing patterns and note down the normal brain waves, heart rate, blood pressure, and sweating. After this, structured questions like relevant questions, controlled questions are answered. And then the psychological responses are analyzed. After that, the entire waveform is analyzed and compared, and then it can identify stress responses that can actually identify at what point was the subject stressed, and if this can qualify for deception or deceptive behavior of the subject. Now, key technical features in this: there's a pneumograph tube. There are air tubes around the chest and abdomen. This require the breathing rate and up and down and spike in depth and dips in the breathing rate. These can detect unusual respiratory activity and changes during questioning. There's a cardiovascular cuff also that actually measures continuously the blood pressure, the heart rate, the pulse, and other things, just to measure the stress related fluctuations and changes. Then there is galvanic skin response sensor. There are electrodes that are attached to the fingers that measure the skin conductivity, so which rises due to increases sweating and under emotional stress. Then there is photoplethysmograph, or PPG. It is an infrared sensor. Please remember this one. This one is important and new. Infrared sensor, it measures the blood flow changes in the finger or earlobe. It indicates variation in circulation caused by stress. These are two new things that I've heard of, and you must have heard of too. So these are a part of the polygraph test. Again, let's talk about the limitation of the text. This is not completely scientific. There's a limited scientific reliability. It can measure psychological stress instead of measuring just lies and deception. So the accuracy is very uncertain and it is highly debated. Then it can give false positives and false negatives. That there can be some people can confuse between deception and anxiety. Maybe the subject is a habitual liar and it does not feel that anxiety or stress during deception, and hence the test cannot detect it. Or maybe innocent people who get anxious very easily even while telling the truth can be considered as deceptive. So people can evade deception, and people can also be considered deceptive even when they're innocent. It is also susceptible to countermeasures. So there are mental techniques due to which this test can also be countered. And then there are constitutional legal restrictions around it, which are now important. Let us look at the constitutional and legal restrictions. The Selvi versus State of Karnataka 2010. The polygraph test requires voluntary consent. This is very important. Results are generally inadmissible except for evidence discovered under section 27 of the Indian Evidence Act. This is a very important line. I want you to write it down verbatim in your notebooks. Under Selvi versus State of Karnataka 2010, polygraph tests require voluntary consent and results are generally inadmissible except for evidence discovered under section 27 of the Indian Evidence Act. Let us talk about the Medical Innovations Patent Mitra Initiative. There's a Patent Mitra Initiative under which there are medical innovations. The National Medical Council has advised all the medical colleges. Who has advised? National Medical Council, National Medical Commission, or NMC. It has advised whom? The medical colleges and healthcare institutions to do what? To use the Indian Council of Medical Research, that is ICMR's Medical Innovation Patent Mitra platform. So the use of this platform has been recommended. Which platform? Patent Mitra platform has been recommended by the National Medical Council to all the medical colleges and to all the healthcare institutions. Now, who has made this platform? Indian Council of Medical Research. Whose platform? Indian Council of Medical Research. Let us talk about it more. What is this platform? It is a centralized, please, whenever I say centralized, you have to pay attention to the topic. It is a centralized, expert-driven digital platform that acts as an institutional intellectual property incubator. It is what? An intellectual property incubator for the India's healthcare sector. What is an intellectual property incubator? It is something that offers end-to-end hand-holding assistance to protect, manage, maintain, and commercialize biomedical breakthroughs developed by researchers, clinicians, and medical students. So whenever people like researchers, clinicians, or medical students develop something that is like a biomedical breakthrough that can be commercialized, that can be protected, maintained, and managed, this platform actually guides how to do that and how to convert it into an intellectual property. So lead executing agency is developed and managed under the ICMR. This is the lead executing agency. It is executed by ICMR. What is the aim? The aim is to eliminate the steep financial and bureaucratic hurdle that prevents researchers from filing international and domestic patents, and also to move high value medical research out of the lab notebooks and turn it into actual realities and use it in therapies and biomedical things. Next, there are some key features of this platform. First is it is fully government funded legal assistance. 100% financial coverage for patent filing. For what? Patent filing, legal drafting, application prosecution, and regular life cycle maintenance fees, completely removing out of pocket cost for selected innovators. So now they don't have to pay for this out of pocket. It is fully government funded when it comes to patent filing, legal drafting, application prosecution. Broad ecosystem inclusion. This platform now provides comprehensive support across a wide nationwide network of eligible developers, including what? ICMR intramural, extramural, faculty, clinicians and students across all recognized Indian medical colleges and institutions, biomedical startups formally registered under DPIIT, independent institute-led medical innovators across the country. You have to necessarily learn all of these points because in the multi-statement questions, it can be asked that who is covered under this. All of these are covered under this. That is ICMR intramural and extramural research projects by ICMR. Then there are faculty, clinicians and students all across all the recognized Indian medical colleges and institutes. Then there are biomedical startups that are registered under the DPIIT, and there are independent institution-led medical innovators across all the countries. Again, key features of platform. There are some more features. There are expert prior art assessment. What does this mean? This offers access to specialized IP or intellectual property attorneys and medical experts, and these experts then evaluate the inventions. They perform rigorous prior art research, and they search to confirm their true uniqueness and ensure high quality patent drafting to avoid any other international legal rejection once the patent is trying to be filed. There's end-to-end patent prosecution. It manages the entire bureaucratic life cycle, end-to-end patent prosecution. And again, streamlined technology transfer framework. It connects the academic innovators to commercial pharmaceutical and medical device manufacturers, and this creates a smooth path for licensing agreements and technology transfer, and finally the commercialization of it. Next is the I2C submarine cable. This is very important. I2C. This is a high-powered digital infrastructure consortium comprising Lightstorm. These are involved in it. Please note this down. This is very important. Lightstorm, Microsoft, Singtel, and Tata Communications. These have signed a contract together to begin the construction of I2C submarine cable system. It is a submarine cable system. So the India Southeast Asia I2C submarine cable system is a next generation high capacity undersea fiber optic cable network. There 90%, 95% of the data that we use comes to the undersea cable system. Only 5% is on the ground. So unlike the legacy subsea cables designed for standard web browsing, the I2C is purpose built to handle the quality is that it handles massive jitter sensitive data packets required for AI training model execution and GPU clusters like graphic processing unit clusters and hyperscale cloud workloads. This is for heavy work. Okay. What is the location? Location is Southeast Asian hubs. It connects countries Singapore, Malaysia, India. Singapore, Malaysia, India. Dual Indian language. Two distinct strategically separated landing stations on India's east coast. Two distinct stations. One is Machilipatnam, chosen to provide the shortest subsea access and fastest data transit. And then there is South Chennai. What is South Chennai? Okay. The aim is to meet the soaring data demands, obviously, to deliver fastest transmission speeds, obviously. And next, how does it work? There's undersea transmission. High-speed data is generated by by AI models and the cloud nodes. It travels through 3,600 kilometer subsea optoelectronic cables. How many kilometers? 3,600 kilometers. There are landing stations The landing stations in Machilipatnam or South Chennai receive these. Then Lightstorm operates there. Lightstorm operates. It has the receiving or landing stations. Then there is terrestrial backhaul loop. Once the data has been received, the subsea signal plunges directly into Lightstorm's 30,000 kilometer domestic land-based fiber network. Then it goes to a land-based fiber network of Lightstorm. And then there is instant scaling. Using this, Lightstorm's SmartNet AI fabric and Polar software defined networking platform, enterprises can track the data pathways in real time and scale their network capacity instantly through an unified dashboard. Which is the last line is actually not that important. You just have to know about 2 landing stations in India, the number of countries involved, the name of the companies involved, the names of the countries involved as well, and the length of the data. That is 3,600 kilometers, and that 95% of the data is undersea. Key features of the system: there's a SmartNet AI fabric and Polarin platform. This AI fabric and Polarin platform, what does it do? It integrates the native software defined networking layer tools. It is again not that important, you just have to remember the name: SmartNet AI fabric and Polarin platform. I'm going to highlight it for you so that you can just simply learn it. SmartNet AI fabric and Polarin platform. There's a 3-meter deep burial armor also. What does it do? It protects against the damage from heavy commercial shipping traffic in the busy Malacca Strait and Bay of Bengal. This cable will be buried 3 meters deep across all shallow water sections of the subsea route. Wherever it's shallow, it will be placed 3-meter deep. Consortium-backed joint build. It operates under a joint build agreement pairing global tech giants and regional carriers. This ensures long-term financial backing and high-volume data use from day one. Then there is world-class supply partners. And after that, we talk about next news, that is battery management system. BMS, bad BMS app is highly in news because of its mischiefs. The government has directed Apple and Google both to remove 3 battery management applications. Number 1 is bad BMS. The news is not limited to bad BMS. It's about 3 battery management applications: bad BMS, Lossity, and Epic lithium ion from their app stores due to critical cyber security and passenger safety risks. The risk is not just related to passenger safety, it is also related to cyber security. 3 apps, battery related, battery management apps, and related to cyber security and passenger safety risks have been mandated or directed to be removed from Apple and Google Play stores. What is this BMS, battery management system? It is an electronic control circuit which is integrated into an electric vehicle or energy stored pack powered by large capacity lithium ion batteries. It acts as the brain of the battery pack. It manages the physical and electrical parameters of individual cells to maintain uniform performance and safety. The aim of BMS, what is it made for actually? Eliminate performance variation among individual battery cells. So there are a lot of individual battery sets that combine together and make an energy store pack. So the aim of that is to make sure that the performance of individual battery cells should not vary. There's no performance variation, so that they can charge and discharge uniformly inside a large battery pack. Charge and discharge uniformly. The aim was to increase the efficiency and the uniformity. But how is it being used? How does it work? First of all, continuous data collection. So there are inbuilt sensors. They track the voltage current, they track the temperature of every cell in every individual cell in the whole big battery, and then they calculate the battery's real-time state of charge and the state of health by individual temperature, voltage, and current changes. Now, cell balancing adjustments can be done in it. If some cells are charging faster, the BMS can activate the balancing circuits inside the battery. It bleeds off extra energy from the strong cells and shifts it to the weaker cell, so that entire pack is a single unit, a uniform power source. It can all work together, charge together, discharge together. So what is the circuit safety disconnection? If a dangerous limit is reached, the BMS triggers the electronic switch. There's an electronic switch inside it, and it instantly disconnects the charging or the discharging circuit. So the power is cut to save the hardware and to protect the user. But this feature, this circuit safety disconnection, is being misused. Wireless diagnostic hubs. Let us just read this very briefly. This is not that important. So modern system features Bluetooth low energy modules. There are Bluetooth low energy modules that are actually wireless diagnostic hubs. These modules can connect wirelessly within 15-meter range. How much? 15-meter range, and this lets the service technician monitor real-time diagnostic parameters. The parameters of temperature, voltage, and current, which are talked about, these can be monitored from the distance of 15 meters to the Bluetooth low energy modules. So if a cell overheats, the system can throttle the power output, and it can trigger the cooling systems and cut off the power, and can prevent the fire hazard. And this is the thing that is being misused right now. There's state estimation also. It uses advanced algorithm. It can track exactly how much energy is left in the battery. And then there's overcurrent and short circuit protection also in this. This is basically to protect from overheating or differential charging and short circuits and fires. But it is being used and misused now. Limitations, which we should talk about. Weak wireless security. This Bluetooth can be actually hacked and used by other apps also. There's a low cost Bluetooth enabled battery system. They use weak and no password protection, and this makes it vulnerable to unauthorized access, as we are seeing in the news recently. Open Bluetooth vulnerability. Default credentials show allow nearby smartphones can connect. Any nearby smartphone can connect. How scary is that now? High safety risk. Because this can be instantly disabled, instant power cut, the vehicle can abruptly stop, and if somebody is tailgating that vehicle and another vehicle is speeding behind it, there's a risk of accident and passenger injury and the collision. The next news is about matcha tea. We all have been listening about the matcha tea, matcha girly. It's very trending right now. Matcha is what? A green tea from Japan. In a milestone for the Indian tea industry, the Assam's Chota Tingrai tea estate in Tinsukia has produced and sold India's first ever commercially grown matcha tea. Tinsukia district of Assam. Which tea state? Chota Tingrai tea state. Chota Tingrai tea state. Indian matcha. India has finally successfully produced and sold India's first ever commercially grown matcha tea in Assam's Tinsukia district by the Chota Tingrai tea estate. What is matcha? It is a premium, vibrant green, finely ground powder made from specially processed leaves of Camellia sinensis. Camellia sinensis. These are grown in shade grown leaves. This is the important part. When you study about things of general life as an aspirant, you study the details of it. Unlike conventional green tea, where the leaves are steeped in water, then discarded, we use hot water, we steep the tea leaves and then discard the leaves and use the water in normal tea. Matcha, the leaf are ground into powder, and the powder is whisked in hot water and it consumed in entirety. So we are consuming the parts and powder of the leaves. So it is a highly concentrated dose of nutrients, antioxidants, and caffeine. Matcha has a lot of caffeine. Where did it originate from? Song dynasty. The practice of grinding dried tea leaves into a powder and whisking with hot water, this whole practice or method of drinking tea originated in China in the Song dynasty, 960 to 1279 CE. Look at him drinking matcha. Transmission to Japan. Then it moved to Japan. The Zen Buddhist monk Eisai brought these powdered tea seeds and the technique from China to Japan, where this practice was preserved, it was refined, and it was woven into Japanese culture. And now matcha is a part of Japanese culture. The shading breakthrough. During the Muromachi period, they finally started growing it in specialized shading technique, and this prepared tencha, the specific processing that leaves require to ground authentic matcha. Tencha is the process through which it is ground. Let us look at the key characteristics. Agricultural shading. Plants are shaded for 3 to 4 weeks before they are harvested. It blocks 90% of the sunlight. It also boosts the chlorophyll production, which gives it the bright green color, vibrant green color. The L-theanine enrichment, very important. You have to remember this. L-theanine is really high in matcha. Less sunlight makes sure there's high L-theanine. The bitterness that is there in matcha, it's because of the L-theanine. Then there's tencha processing that we just listened about. Fresh leaves are steamed, then they are de-stemmed. First you take the entire stem with the leaves. Okay, they are steamed, then the stem is removed, and then they are deveined. The vein is removed from, if this is a leaf and this is the vein of the leaf, the vein is removed, only the leaf is kept, and this can prevent oxidation. Then it is dried. This entire process of steaming, de-stemming, removing veins, and then drying to prevent the oxidation, it is called tencha process. Then there's stone ground milling. It is ground in what? In granite, in a granite mortar. In that it is ground into a fine powder. What is the significance? The matcha production has moved to Assam. What is the significance? This will actually turn matcha into a premium value wellness product. It will expand export opportunities for India, and it will expand farmer incomes and boost employment. It will also help collaboration with Japanese experts, which will bring advanced cultivation and processing technologies in India, like precision farming, product quality, and global competitiveness in Indian teas. Last but not the least, let's talk about Mali. India and Mali have institutionalized their growing economic partnership by holding the inaugural India-Mali Forum for the first time. Inaugural means happening for the first time. India-Mali Forum. For what? For the promotion of experts. Promotion of exports actually. In which countries? In Bamako. Sorry, in which city? Bamako. What will it do? It will pave the way for deeper trade across key sectors. So there's the first India-Mali Forum being organized for the promotion of export in Bamako. Let us talk about it. Mali is officially called the Republic of Mali. It is sovereign, landlocked nation in West Africa. Even the shape of Mali, when you see on the map, looks like M. Okay, Mali looks very much like M. It has a rich pre-colonial legacy before it was colonized, having once formed the core of Great Ghana, Mali, and Songhai empires. These are the empires, and Mali was at the core of them as a country. It is currently managed by a transitional government, important for your PSIR. Sovereign it is, but it is managed by a transitional government. It features a unique cultural fabric where the Bambara language, which language? Bambara language, an ethnic group predominate alongside Fulani, Dogon, and Tuareg. Very important information for you. You have to necessarily, completely, essentially note this down. Bambara is the language. Also, Bambara is the ethnic group. Other groups are Fulani, Dogon, and Tuareg. Tuareg you must have heard about in economic and human geography. Then talk about the geographical position of it. It is located in the interior of Western Africa. It stretches across the massive hyper-arid Saharan desert. It stretches across the Saharan desert in the north and the Sahelian region in the south. Sahara and Sahel. Between that there is Mali. It is in the interior of Western Africa. The national capital is Bamako. We have heard about it. Exports promotion in Bamako is the aim of this entire forum. Bordering nations are 7 bordering countries: Algeria, Niger, Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, which has the Ivory Coast, Guinea, then Senegal, and then Mauritius. Key features, that is twin fluvial arteries. There's a Niger river that flows through Mali. Which river flows through Mali? Niger river. It forms the inland Niger delta. There's an inland delta in the river. It's called the Niger delta, in which seasonal floods can support farming, fishing, and grazing, which is actually good. Senegal river is also there. It is formed by the Bokoye and Bafing river at Bofulib. It flows northwest into Senegal, flows from Mali to Senegal. It supports irrigation and regional connectivity. These are 2 rivers: Niger river, which has a Niger delta, and Senegal river, which actually is formed by Bafing and Bokoye. Next, key features: plains, plateaus, and soil. We are completely trying to complete everything about Mali in the next 5 minutes. There are plains and plateaus in Mali. Yes, there are. There are sandstone plateaus, and they extend from the Fouta Djallon highlands and merge at Manding Plateau near Bamako. And then there is Dogon Plateau and Bandiagara escarpment. It has hill cliffs. This is an important mountain, Mali's highest mountain, Mount Humbori-Tondo. Then there are these. What are these? These are sandstones. These are sandstones. These are rugged, eroded sandstone plateaus in northern Mali, forming the part of Saharan Hoggar mountain system. You've heard about the Hoggar mountain system? So these sandstones are part of the Hoggar mountain system. So this is the mountain system in Mali. Then there are Dogon Plateau and Bandiagara escarpment in Mali. And then there are sandstone plateaus or Fouta Djallon highlands also. There is poor soil condition. In Mali, the soil is infertile. It is very rich in iron and soil is very shallow. After that, there is just stone. It is dominated by sand dunes, gravel plains. Significance of this: the cities like Timbuktu and Djenné, they have linked North Africa with West Africa. Mali is on the West Africa, and these two cities have linked it with the north of Africa. What does it facilitate? Trade in gold, salt, ivory, and knowledge. And these two rivers, the Niger and the Senegal river basins, they support cotton production in Mali. There's high cotton commercialization in Mali. There's livestock rearing also, there's fishing, and this makes Mali an important region by agricultural producer. Important regional agricultural producer. What is important? Cotton cultivation, livestock rearing, and fishing because of the rivers. And what does it trade in? Salt, gold, ivory, and knowledge. Knowledge, okay.